What's good, everybody? It's Miss Composition, the MC that writes fiction. Back at it with another reaction. We got fantastic hip hop, how things just became worse than ever for J. Cole. Oh, man. If you're new to the channel, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Notification bells on so you don't miss when I drop a new video on the road to 5K. Man, so, oh, man. J. Cole. I just did the reaction to the deleted video, and it's funny because I think the last fantastic hip hop video I reacted to is actually talking about how there may be this collaboration with Kendrick and J. Cole and how he may have chosen sides and different things and how I would say that it didn't seem like he actually chose sides. But then we get the Port Antonio track. Mixed reactions all across the board. Man, what does fantastic hip hop gotta say?
Now, as J. Cole's new song Port Antonio has been released into the rap world and it is becoming more and more polarizing by the second, this song has sparked a ton of controversy all over the hip hop world for the mixed message of the track, which many think ignores the fact entirely that despite anything else that Cole said or did, that he did indeed release a full-on diss track aimed at Kendrick Lamar and entered the battle of the big three with 7-minute drill. And now, while I'm not here to pick apart J. Cole's choices anymore on this cut, what is important and has added even more context to this divisive moment in hip-hop is some inside information about the state of J. Cole's career behind the music, which has helped add some context to why many have been saying he is all over the place in this moment in time. And now with this news, it's not talking about
Yeah, I mean, all over the place is interesting because it's just all like he's just getting praised for doing these amazing features, and it's just all like this was the time that you chose as your solo track, to do this. It was just so I can see what they mean by all over the place because it seems like he's on this side, then on this side, then working with certain people, then doing this. And so even in that song itself, it was just like, like not to take away from the rapping, but shout out to the comment section in my last video, the deleted video, and shout out to all the villains out there. But they brought up lots of good points. Someone brought up the whole let Nas down, and I forgot how cringy that whole situation was, and how like J. Cole do these things. The whole master manipulator, it almost seems like those words were actually aimed at J. Cole with the way that he's been moving. Like, people brought up the No Name, the Wale, freaking how he is in regards to, certain rappers or eras of rap. And so it's very interesting.
J. Cole's personal life because he keeps things there very private and unproblematic. But actually what it reveals is that what's been ripping up Cole is actually turmoil within his own label and crew in Dreamville, as it has been reported from inside the industry and sources near and around Cole that when it comes to J. Cole's decision in this entire feud, and about specifically Kendrick Lamar, that things within his Dreamville camp have not been good at all, and they have seemingly pushed him to do things that his heart was never in. And now initially, what cracked this story and revealed this information was a report from Wayno, who, if you don't know who he is a respected journalist in the hip-hop space who has been a part of the culture in various ways for years. And now to add even more validity to this information, just to show where his pedigree actually lies here, he was the host of Dreamville Fest 2024, meaning he was directly on the front lines when this beef was freshly in the air and people were waiting to see what Cole would do after dropping Might Delete Later and his Kendrick diss 7-minute drill. So all in all, first off, to just validate this source, considering that Wayno was literally employed by Dreamville to be the bridge between the artists and the people at this major festival, there's really no incentive that we can see for him to lie about this. So now with this report, Wayno said when it came to what he heard in his time around Dreamville and what was echoed throughout people who he is close to that are a part of Cole's label and crew, is that the general consensus of what most of Dreamville believed is that compared to both J. Cole and Drake, Kendrick Lamar is overrated and he has not contributed to hip-hop culture in the way that the general public and hip-hop heads have praised him for doing. And also on top of this,
That is what's so crazy is either like a lot of these people, and I don't know who said it, but they're all within or nearing the 30s. Everyone pretty much is within the 30s. J. Cole, Kendrick, Drake, they're getting over there to the 40 mark, but I think Jid just got over the 30s. A lot of people are in the 30s. So it's wild that they could look at something from, honestly, I would say 2010 to now and say that Kendrick hasn't done nothing for the rap world to push any, like, are you crazy? Like, this is the stuff where it's just like, why are you hating? Like, why are you hating? You're really gonna act like Kendrick wasn't dropping and doing some of the most dope, talked about, game-changing stuff as far as for hip hop? Man, that is wild.
That Dreamville does not respect Kendrick's label Top Dog Entertainment to the level that they do
Wow.
other crews in hip hop and do not see them as equals as a whole. And now, because of this inner frustration and
Wow.
anger within the label, and of course all around J. Cole, the point Wayno was making is that with all of this animosity against Kendrick right in his own house, Cole was pressured to respond to Kendrick with a diss originally and do what they believed was put him in his place. And now something interesting to note about this that very well may tie things full circle here is that if we remember when J. Cole was actually on stage apologizing to Kendrick during his set at Dreamville Festival, he did talk about how he saw the people around him frustrated for what he was doing in that very moment, which does indeed add to this idea that Cole's own crew were the ones who escalated the situation and pushed him to do something that he never intended to in the first place. But now building on all of this, and really making this report seem both more real and also showing off the fact that beyond the Kendrick beef, things in Dreamville really may be going under, and this is why we have seen such a chaotic year from Cole and them all around, was that on a social media post that showed off this clip of Wayno telling us about this inner turmoil. None other than who is considered the number 2 guy in Dreamville, who everyone has thought very well could be the number 1 in the near future in JID, responded to the post, first clarifying that it was not him who was dissing Kendrick, and then adding to this initial point and his involvement in it by saying, "What? I don't even hang with Dreamville like that." But making this even crazier, JID quickly deleted these responses, and fortunately, some users did capture this. And now by seeing this moment, which Jid
That's weird because that would be crazy if he's not a part of Dreamville anymore. Because a lot of people act like when you're in these like crews or these labels that you're supposed to hang out and do this stuff all the time. I don't see Dreamville the same way that I see TDE. Like TDE seems more like a brotherhood, like they hang out, whether all of them or a few of them or one to two of them, like they act like they seem like they actually be hanging out. But I had a feeling that Jid didn't feel that way about Kendrick Lamar. So it's just it's just weird, man. It's weird that they would even say some stuff like that. It's not to say they wouldn't, but just those points in general to say that about Kendrick is crazy because personally, I think Kendrick will eat all of them up. Then do a 20v1 as far as if y'all want, like and that's even saying with Jid too. Jid's dope. Jid is dope. And he's doing some really dope stuff. But as far as pin game to Kendrick, nah, he's not there. He's not there. Like, I don't think people really understand how dope Kendrick's pin game is. That's not the glaze. I've been listening to him since Overly Dedicated, specifically the lyrics, specifically how he's allowed himself to expand and experiment within music, within genres. Like there's it's just crazy, man. Like it's like people purposely are just all like they just erase that stuff. And it's just like you can't, it's all over the internet. It's been recorded in history, YG.
assumed we all thought would go away. While first off, this reveals that Jid wants no issues with Kendrick and is not a part of this group in the label who seem to be against him, which should not be a surprise if you see just how similar their styles are in terms of how much influence Jid has taken from Kendrick, really and also how on his album The Forever Story, He references and mentions how important Kendrick Lamar and his album Section 80 were to him and his development both as a person and as an
I
MC.
can
But now
I
beyond
can
just
see that.
JID, in the grand picture of this all, when we look at everything about one of the biggest members in Dreamville said about the crew, and what seems like his growing separation from them, when we look further into this information, it all seems to check out on JID's end despite deleting these responses quickly to try and avoid them from going viral and stirring up more controversy about the state of where J. Cole and his crew are at. Because all in all, these words from JID, from what we can see, connect a lot of loose ends together and start to make sense of what has been going on in Dreamville behind the scenes. And now, just by the
Yeah.
fact that he deleted this post, this first off only adds more validity to these comments as a whole because it's showing that he had ultimately decided to hold back unraveling the full extent of his frustration with his label. And now, even just outside of this beef for a second, when we look at the fact that when it comes to major music releases at this point, as JID has not put out any new solo music since 2022, despite him gaining so much popularity and getting on
That's
so
true.
many big time features which have made for major hits. And as we know, he has hinted at
Which
wanting to drop new music.
which may, the thing is, when it comes to artists and dropping stuff, it's such a balance. Me being an independent artist, kind of doing this, in my own way and different things like that. It's one of those things where, sometimes I feel like the feature um collaborations versus you putting out your solo stuff, it could be like a form of like a campaign run. That and the podcast, to where people could, if they ain't heard of you before, then boom, they could start getting and listening to your old stuff, so that way they could get prepared, for the stuff about the drop. So I don't necessarily see in that particular situation, I don't see it as a I don't see it as a label thing trying to keep them back. I think that it's probably for the best, because I mean, he did drop the 32 freestyle, kept that going and different things like that. So I don't think that that's the case, but maybe,
Over and over
maybe.
again, and yet nothing has happened besides independent drops that he's done on YouTube. These issues
Yeah,
between him and the label very well could be the reason why it seems like he's being shelved at this point, and even beyond JID alone. This shift in the
which is
culture
crazy.
around Dreamville and JID's attitude about the label could also explain why the duo who introduced JID to Dreamville in the first place in Earthgang left the label and went independent not too long ago as well. And all in
Mm.
all, if people like JID and Earthgang, who have shown that they are students of hip hop and the culture, feel alienated from the crew now, it's really starting to paint a picture that what we saw from Dreamville at their peak is no longer what's really going on at the label, which also considers
This video is sponsored by yours truly, Mr. Composition, the MC that writes fiction. And for the month of October, on my Mr. Composition Music YouTube page, I am doing one-shot music video a day. So for 31 days, there will be a new one-shot video, and the goal is to get that channel to 1,000 subscribers. So make sure to check that out, subscribe, show some love to the videos, and drop a comment, man. Let me know that you came from this channel. But anyways, guys, back to the video. Which, yeah, y'all could watch the full video. I will leave it in the description. But that, when there was thing when like Stick came out and everything like that, there was a lot of this Dreamville, like return to, like all everything with that. But then it kind of fizzled out. We got the beef and everything like that. But then as well, we got to look at the fact that this is J. Cole's label, and he's still an artist. Like, I find it very difficult. I'm seeing it be very difficult. It's not to say that there can't be any high moments, but these artists ran labels, there's not too many that actually stand the test of time, man, because I thought good music was like my favorite because of all the artists that he had under there, but then it fizzled out. It was like a good moment, no pun intended, and then it just fizzled out. We're seeing kind of the same thing as far as like 50 Cent G Unit Records. I know he's kind of doing the G Unit South or whatever, but it's not like it was, so seeing those and seeing that in this Dreamville, it kind of makes a lot of sense, and it could make a lot more sense with why J. Cole is kind of maneuvering the way that he is, because he did drop the Might Delete later. He's been doing the Dreamville, different things like that. And he's been really busy, but he's also been putting out these features have been coming out. Not saying he just did them, but these features have been coming out. He drops Port Antonio, so I can see what he means by he's all over the place. And, but that little tidbit about, Jid is very, very interesting because it didn't dawn on me that there was something going on because I didn't see like it felt like Jid's just been here because of the features he's been on. He's been on Eminem's album. That's a big freaking feature. So I don't know. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. It's Mr. Composition MC that writes fiction back at it with another reaction. Make sure you like, subscribe, notification bells on so you don't miss when I drop a new video on the road to 5K. Do you think things got worse or do you think that Cole's going to be all right? Let me know. Peace.